Fisker ma a harshan is falchov or good evening, friends, and welcome to the Saltires, Scotland's National Book Awards 2025. Whether you're joining us in person or on the live stream tonight, it is my very great pleasure to welcome you to Edinburgh's Central Hall, a glorious Edwardian building in the Art Nouveau style that has played host to many wonderful book events throughout the years. My name is Cynioch MacLeod. Some of you might know me as the Hebridean Baker. I've been Scotland's best-selling cookbook author for the past 4 years. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. You've had my scones, haven't you? Aye. All published by the wonderful Black and White right here in Edinburgh. Meaning, I feel I know firsthand how hard Scottish writers and publishers work to take out amazing stories across the globe. I was born and raised in a Gaelic-speaking home on the beautiful island of Lewis, the farthest north of the Outer Hebrides. And I'm quite excited that my first BBC television series, Hebridean Baker Nordic Islands, is out now. So tune in tomorrow night for episode 2 on iPlayer. Tune in there. And that shares my love of Ireland, its culture, its food, and its people. So enjoy that. Now, this is my second year in a row hosting the awards. The Fools invited me back. And thank you to the Scottish national team for being our starter last night with the celebrations. So if they were the starter, we're definitely the main, and we're definitely the pudding tonight. So I hope I can serve you a wonderful evening for this very special event as we raise a glass to toast the cream of Scotland's literary talent. Now, we do encourage you all to share your excitement tonight on social media and use the hashtag Saltire Book Awards if you can as well. But if you are using your phone, just please make sure it's on silent while you're in the hall. If you're back at home, you can go crazy. Okay, before we start the important business of tonight, I want to tell you a wee bit more about the heritage of the Saltires. For those of you who maybe don't know so much about them, the awards take their name from the Saltire Society, who has been championing Scottish culture on the domestic and the international stage for almost 9 decades, in fact. Actually, 2026, the Saltire Society will be marking its 90th anniversary. So it's going to be quite a horoyally next year here for those awards. When the society was founded, Scotland was in a pretty different place. It had just weathered the Great War. There was no parliament, no national theatre or orchestra, no broadcasting from Scotland as a nation. And with another global conflict on the horizon, there were fears that our unique cultural inheritance stood on the brink of ruin. There's much to celebrate now, but the Saltire Society still believes the need remains for an independent organization to speak for Scottish culture. So let's talk more about the old days. A book award was the first initiative of the society. In 1937, the first book of the year was announced. The recipient was Neil M. Gunn for Highland River. Can you imagine winning the first ever Scottish Book Award? Isn't that an amazing achievement? It is a book about renewal through nature, as its protagonist, Ken, follows the Caithness River to its source. After a life away from the land and a spell in the trenches of World War I, he rediscovers his boyhood joy in nature. Now, the roll call of later awardees include many further iconic voices in Scottish literature. To name just a few: Edwin Muir, Alistair Gray, Edwin Morgan, Tom Leonard, Norman McCaig, Muriel Spark, Soherla McAlehan, Liz Lochhead, Alan Warner, James Robertson, Kate Atkinson, John Burnside, A.L. Kennedy, James Kelman, Kathleen Jamie, many, many more. And tonight we look forward to adding more names to this incredible roll of honor. Of course, each year we also bid farewell to some wonderful writers who have given great pleasure to readers across Scotland and the world. And tonight we remember in particular Denzil Meyrick and Zoe Wickham. We're going to begin the first prize of the evening. Are you all ready? Scotland has a long tradition of academic and professional publishing, recognized in our first award this evening for Research Book of the Year 2025. I'm delighted to welcome to the stage Professor Richard Ward. Thank you for that. To present this award and to tell us a little bit about the importance of research. Richard kindly chaired our judging panel for the award this year and also in 2024. So please give a warm welcome to Richard Watmore. Hello, Richard.
So I want to start by emphasizing how important this award is. Those of you who are or who have been academics will know there are very few prizes in this game. And increasingly, a lot of fields are under the cosh. So this kind of award matters more and more. One way of describing the significance of the award is to say that it's like an overhead kick in the first half, followed by chipping the keeper from your own half towards the end of the game. So it really matters. I also just very, very quickly want to thank Ian for organizing this award and wonderful Mona and Alistair for acting as judges. It was a real pleasure to do this, and the standard of the books, as you would expect, was just phenomenal. So I'm now going to get on with it and open.
Well, steady. We'll just better find out who the nominees are tonight.
Okay, sorry.
I love the excitement.
Sorry, I thought it was straight to the business.
I do love the excitement, but the shortlist is going to be on your screen right now. So it's just in alphabetical order as it is for the rest of the evening. The 5 books are Plagues of the Heart by Michelle D. Brock, published by Manchester University Press. The judges said this book employs wide-ranging and formidable research, weaving together historical, sociological, and religious history to paint a revealing and original portrait of the past. Neil McCormack by Maximilian Del Mar, published by Cambridge University Press. The judges said this was very strong work, useful, contextualizing McCormack and his work. Its depth and range of research is admirable. History of the Revolutor. Is that how you say it? Yes? It's different from speaking in Gaelic, I'm realizing tonight, by William K. Malcolm, published by Jetstone. The judges said this is a definitive study, making very good use of primary sources revealed for the first time. Burns and Black Lives, Clark McGinn, published by Boa. The judges said historical research impressed greatly and the contemporary relevance is manifest. And finally, Art Deco Scotland, Bruce Eatard, published by Historic Environment Scotland. The judges said the quality of the research is exceptional. Can we please have a big round of applause for all the shortlisted nominees tonight? Richard, I know you're excited. So please, will you tell us the winner?
Thanks for saving me. I was about to ruin everything. So, the winner of the Research Book of the Year is Bruce Peters' Art Deco, Scotland.
Congratulations, Bruce.
We're supposed to have pictures.
Please say a few words, Bruce. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you very, very much indeed for this award. Scotland has a national genius for architecture stretching back many, many centuries, half a millennium plus. And for me, one of the great daily pleasures living in Edinburgh and working in Glasgow and visiting many other places is simply looking around. We have a treasury of buildings of all eras of which to be incredibly proud. In the 1930s, of course, things were extremely difficult. There was high unemployment in the wake of the Wall Street crash, and life was tough. But notwithstanding these challenges, Scotland's architects produced really outstanding and imaginative work. And that ranges from small commercial premises like pubs to extraordinarily reforming buildings like the colliery bathhouses, which transformed the lives of coal miners. Of course, coal mining was one of the major industries right across the Central Belt and beyond. And then at the other extreme, there were grand, magnificent structures like St Andrew's House, where my wonderful wife works as a civil servant, and for her and her colleagues, the brightness, the light, and the splendid design by Thomas Tate make going to the office a daily pleasure. And then, of course, there are the ocean liners, which are one of my lifelong enthusiasms and which feature in the final chapter in my book. So altogether, researching and writing Art Deco Scotland has been a tremendous pleasure. But it wouldn't have been half the pleasure had it not been for the tremendous support received from my very wonderful publisher, Historic Environment Scotland. HES is something that the nation also should be proud of. I work in Glasgow School of Art, so we're used to occasionally negative media attention, as I think probably most Scottish institutions, Caledonian, McBrain, you know, whatever, occasionally get. But the people I've worked with in HES have been absolutely tremendous. The publisher, Christine Wilson, her many advisors, Neil Gregory and Ranald McInnes, who are here tonight. And above all, because this is a very, very beautiful looking book, I must thank Alistair Burns, who was the designer, who's an extremely talented book designer. In fact, he designs everything from tiny brochures to huge posters, all the things that HES produces. And for my book, they even rose to a beautiful, shiny, embossed cover, which must have cost a bit. So I'm very grateful to them for that. Thank you very much for this award. After a quarter of a century in academia, I'm really touched and feel very privileged to have received it. Thank you, and thank you all.
Give Bruce a big cheer. Congratulations to Bruce. Okay, we're on to our next award for the evening. You can hear me okay in the audience, can't you? No, not at all. I have to use the microphone. Okay. How's that? Was it better without the microphone? We're now going to move on to our next category of the evening, the Poetry Book of the Year 2025. I'm delighted to welcome to the stage an iconic voice in poetry, a poet who has reached literally millions of people with her work, and we get to claim her a little bit north of the border as our family roots are over in Glasgow. She is currently touring with her new book, Virgin, and we're so lucky she is with us tonight. Please join me in welcoming the amazing Holly McNeish to the stage.
Inviting me to present the poetry category of the Saltire Book Awards. As a writer and a poet, but perhaps more excitingly for me, as a child grown in England to two very proud Glaswegian parents and forced by my loving father to read a Burns poem each year in my accent as part of his annual Educate the English Burns Nights, his title, I knew almost no Scottish poetry other than Robert Burns for about the first 18 years of my life. So it is, and has been for years, a total joy to follow these Saltire Awards and to discover more and more gorgeous Scottish poets every single year. In my almost obsessive poetry love and opinion, there are far too many literary and book awards, long and more recently established, that do not include poetry as a category, as if poetry is some sort of separate secret, not a part of everyday life, loss or love, relegated so often to 3 shelves on the 4th floor at the back of the bookshop. So I'm always in awe and always grateful at how fervently Scotland celebrates the poet, both those long gone and, more importantly, perhaps those still very much alive. Jackie Kay once said of Scotland, "We need to grow up as a country." And I think that the increasing range of voices and stories and styles that you discover in Scotland's current poetic offerings are a total testament to that growth and gratitude that Scotland has as a country. And I'm so excited to be a part of this future. So thank you for everything that you do, Saltire Awards for Poetry and Poets, and well done to the brilliant and beautiful writers nominated this year. I'm delighted to present the shortlist for the Saltire Awards for Poetry.
Thank you, Holly. So you're going to see the shortlist on the screen. And as you heard in the first one, I'll say a little bit about what the judges said about each of the books as well. So first one, I Sugared the Bones by Juana Adcock, published by Outspoken Press. The judges call this collection tenacious and provocative, saying it possesses a real boldness and beauty. The Island in the Sound by Neil Campbell, published by Blood Axe Books. The judges said this collection captures the breathtaking movement of land and water with a subtle strength and musical tonality. Polka Dot Wounds by Anthony Vanni Capodello, published by Carcanet. The judges found this collection boundary-pushing and rich, blending distinctive poetic imagery with a clear, confident readability. The Keeley Hawk by Kathleen Jamie, published by Picador. The judges said Jamie's lyrical poetry in Scots resonates with an honest, imaginative power. Please give them all a big round of applause. So, Holly, tell us who has won.
So, the winner of the 2025 Saltire Award for Poetry is Anthony Vanni Capodello with Polka Dot Wounds.
This is a time of no words, for I had now lost a bet against myself. And I'm not going to tell you where I've been placing my bets, but it was not on me. It is an extraordinary honor to stand here, and particularly to stand here next to such a presenter, because one of the things that I have always loved and valued in the literatures of Scotland is the plurality and the plurilingualism. I grew up in an archipelago of islands in the Caribbean, and now I live within spitting distance, not that I would spit, of the Firth of Forth, near to a road which only very recently was reclaimed from the sea. And when I explained to an Icelandic friend where it was I had moved to my great surprise, he said, "Oh yes, I know that. That is where we, as in we, 800-900 years ago, 1200 years ago, used to stop off on the way from Shetland if we ran out of things." And I said, "Are you sure? It's not in any of the maps." He said, "Oh yes, I know it." And then he described the inlets to me. And this is not written down anywhere. And for me, the inspiration which I get from living now in Scotland is in what is not written down, and walking among people, listening, learning, and also trying to read the things which speak otherwise. Currently, I'm writing a piece about the stones of Leith and Newhaven and their interconnection with France. And I've just come back from Dunkeld, where I've been reading about St. Columba and speaking only to the trees. So all this by way of saying that I have no language, not even the language of Edwin Morgan's Loch Ness Monster, to say what a delight it is to be here, and I will do my best to live up to everything that this award represents. And I also look forward to splitting the award, which I shall sort out after discerning exactly how to do so, because any win for poetry is a collective win, and whoever was standing here, it would be a love-in, because as Kathleen Jamie once said to me when I asked at an event here in Edinburgh, "Who's your favorite poet?" she said, "Anonymous." And really, in the end, that's all of us. Thank you so much.
But you're not going too far. Please stay with us on the stage now, because I'm going to ask Holly and Anthony Vanni to stay on the stage for a few moments. For those of you who were with us last year, you may recall we used to award a first book of the year chosen throughout all the categories. This year, we are delighted to be able to award a debut book of the year in 3 categories: poetry, fiction, and non-fiction. And I'm going to ask our poetry winner to announce our debut winner in just a moment. So I'm going to give you that so you walk over back to your plinth over there. There is a lovely piece of art made in tribute to the winner's book, and the prize also includes the chance to take up a coaching opportunity designed alongside the winner. The shortlist is on the screen now, and the books are Good Sons by Tim Craven, published by Blue Diode Press. The judges said the collection moved us with its poetic skillfulness and sense of surprise. The Bone Folder by Kate O'Neill McCulloch, published by Drunk Muse Press. The judges said these poems articulate grief in ways that feel nuanced and compelling. Please give them both a big cheer. Now, Anthony Vanni, you have the golden envelope. Please, will you reveal the winner?
The winner is Tim Craven for Good Sons.
Wow, thank you. It was, didn't expect that, I apologise. Thank you. Thank you for the Saltire Society. Thank you for the judges for connecting with the book. And yeah, congratulations to everyone shortlisted, and especially Coach, who's, the bone folder is a real triumph, so it means a lot to be up here. I've lived in Scotland for a decade now, which is longer than anywhere else I've lived as an adult, and I love it. I love it here, and I can't imagine calling anywhere else home. And so much so, sometimes I feel quite self-conscious walking the streets of Edinburgh with my accent and the North Staffordshire twang. And also my wife's from the US, so she's got a New Jersey accent. So I'm constantly fearful that we're seen as tourists. And I do all these, I've developed this real weird collection of behaviors to counter that. So for example, totally unnecessarily into many conversations, I'll elbow in my incredible knowledge of Hebridean B roads, or walking the streets of Edinburgh when I'm kind of stuck in my tracks when someone in front of me sort of suddenly stops so they can take a selfie with the castle. I tut incredibly performatively just to let everyone know that I am a local going about local things. And I reflect on that, and I think I do that on a serious note out of a great desire to belong and a great desire to, and I feel that in Scotland, and it's given me so much. And I truly believe that Good Sons wouldn't have come to fruition without me being here in Scotland, such as the kind of cultural scaffolding that we have. And as I reflect on all the organisations and institutions that have got the book to where it is today, I've just got to thank the Scottish Graduate School of Arts and Humanities, the Scottish Book Trust, the Talbot Rice Gallery, Cove Park, Creative Scotland, but of course, most of all, my publisher, Rob Mackenzie. I did see him, and then we came in separately, so we're not sat together, which I'm not accustomed, so it's probably a huge faux pas for these awards, so apologies, Rob. But, I mean, to be an independent publisher of poetry is an incredible cultural act of generosity. It's certainly not a commercial one. And the books Rob puts out and that Blue Diode have put out this year are remarkable. So I really do strongly feel as though I'm not just representing myself and Good Sons tonight, I'm representing all the work that Blue Diode's put out this year. But I've settled down now, so hopefully we won't see any more tears tonight, but as you can probably tell, it was hard putting this together, and so I'm incredibly touched that it's connected with anyone, really. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Give them a big cheer. Firstly, thank you, Holly. Congratulations to Anthony Vanni and to Tim as well. Thank you very much. An extra special thank you to Tim for making me not look like Gandalf in all the photos tonight. Apologies to all the shorter folk who are winning the awards. Now, we come to a very special part of the evening. The majority of the categories are open to submissions from publishers, but the next category is awarded with the support of people working in books across all sorts of roles, and also across Scotland, from writers, publishers, our judges, programmers, critics, and others. I will invite Susan Garnsworthy, convener of the Saltire Society, to join me on stage to tell you a little bit more about the award. Please welcome Susan Garnsworthy.
So, good evening, everyone. As Gunnar has said, the Saltire Society was founded almost 90 years ago to champion Scottish culture. And one of the ways it does this is through this programme of awards to mark and celebrate achievement. In 1936, the future of Scottish literature was both an area of concern as well as a topic for debate, not least by Edwin Muir, whose portrait bust joins us on stage tonight. And through our book awards, we hope we have helped renew confidence in the value and energy of our literature, and indeed that Edwin might approve were he here today. We do know, however, that writers face ongoing and new challenge in sustaining their practice. There is economic challenge with the rising costs of living coupled with pressures on arts funding and publishers' margins. Public discourse is often fraught. Our understanding of the impact of digital developments, and especially AI, is evolving. Globalization and conglomeration have worrying effects, especially for smaller languages and cultures. While much wonderful publishing takes place here in Edinburgh and elsewhere in Scotland, it would also be futile to deny that London is a major centre of gravity for publishing, and many studies show that the distance from London can make conditions even more challenging for writers. We could also debate whether Scottish work is always met with equal opportunities south of the border. The historical context for this debate was in fact the theme of our research winner in 2024. And while we hope our book awards help writers face these challenges, we know that we can only celebrate so much work, and each year is just a snapshot of activity. We also understand the value of marking careers in raising the profile of writers, and this idea of writing careers, and for this reason we introduced the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2019, and the first awardee was Alistair Gray. Tonight we're honoured to welcome to the stage to tell you about this year's winner, a writer who has done enormous work to put Scottish books on the world stage. So could you please put your hands together for Sir Ian Rankin?
Thank you very much. Where's my speech? Here it is. Speech first, then glasses, then a strong gin and tonic. What a privilege it is for me to stand here before you tonight celebrating the work of Kate Atkinson. A privilege because she is simply the most extraordinary novelist of her generation. Her books can be playful and serious, complex, yet fluid and readable. She seems equally at home whether tackling the crime story or literary fiction. She's experimental, a risk-taker, without ever losing sight of the primacy of traditional storytelling. She writes sentences that stop you dead with their lyricism, creates characters you care about and come to know as friends, and is as fiendish and skilled a plotter as there has ever been. Like many in this room, I was introduced to her work by way of her first published novel, Behind the Scenes at the Museum, winner of the Whitbread Prize in 1995. I was especially taken with that book because it name-checks my hometown of Cardenden in Fife. As far as I'm aware, she and I are the only two contemporary novelists ever to have mentioned the place. But there are more connections between us than that, connections Kate herself might not be aware of. She was born in York, while my mother came from Bradford. Kate's father was a shopkeeper, so was mine. She studied English literature at Dundee, while I studied the same subject here in Edinburgh. We both commenced postgraduate study, and neither of us quite made it to the finish line. Kate then went on to win a short story contest run by Woman's Own magazine, while I won a similar competition run by Radio 4th. In 2004, she introduced readers to her recurring character, the detective Jackson Brodie, who, like my own John Rebus, is ex-armed forces. He also has a father who hailed from Fife, the same as Rebus. The echoes just keep on coming. The name Brodie resonated with me immediately because of its connections with both Muriel Spark, the subject of my failed PhD, and the infamous real-life Deacon William Brodie, one of the inspirations behind Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a book never far from my thoughts when I write about Edinburgh. Jackson Brodie has appeared in several of Kate's works, not least her latest novel, Death at the Sign of the Rook, which has a good deal of fun at the expense of the traditional English country house whodunit. Death at the Sign of the Rook is as funny and clever as anything she's written. It is also meticulous in structure. Having read it, as with other novels such as Life After Life and Transcription, I had to go back to the beginning immediately to read it again, this time as an author rather than a reader, to try to work out how the hell she put it all together with such seeming ease. Earlier this year, it was my pleasure to interview Kate on stage in Stirling at the Bloody Scotland Crime Fiction Festival. Her event was the first to sell out, and a packed Albert Hall sat entranced and enthralled as she described her career and spoke in depth about the pleasures and pitfalls of writing about a series character and of taking on the detective story, a form whose linearity Kate Atkinson has fun with, even as she subverts it. At one point, a character says of Jackson Brodie that his modus operandi is disruption. And I think this is true of Kate too. She tests and stretches the novel form and stretches the reader too. She takes us on a series of surprising and gratifying journeys. As a reader, you never ever know what you're going to find within the pages of the latest Kate Atkinson book. But you are assured that you're in the hands of someone with absolute mastery of the craft of fiction writing. She is as profound as she is entertaining, a rare combination indeed. I'm sure none of us can wait to see what she does next. Please join me in welcoming to the stage the incomparable Kate Atkinson.
It feels like a weapon. Well, this is very exciting. Get a lifetime. I haven't got a speech. I'm not going to go on. Don't worry. Very exciting to get a lifetime achievement award, but it does make me feel slightly old, as if I'm getting to the end. And I'm planning to cling on for many more years, so I think I. So perhaps in a decade or two, I can kind of have an extra supplemental lifetime award. It's also very exciting for me because I very rarely leave the house. And I never get awards or prizes because I'm never put in for them. So this is lovely that I have not had to do anything to get this award. So I'm extremely grateful to the judges. I had no idea who the judges were, and I was thinking there was maybe a little cabal of 2 or 3, and then you say that in fact, there seems to be hundreds of them, so thank you very much for that. Thank you very much to Ian for coming out. I was asked who I would like to present this award to me, and he was the first person that came into my head, but also because, like me, he lives on the south side, and he doesn't have far to come, and I was thinking that's anything for an easy life. And also because we did do an event together very recently, and he said some very nice things to me there, and I thought he's just going to be able to regurgitate that. And he was very put out when I said that to him earlier, because he says, I've written new things. So thank you to him. So I don't think there's anything more to say, really, apart from well, no, what I should say. This is a Scottish award, and I have lived most of my life now in Scotland. I'm a very proud Yorkshirewoman, and like, is it Bloody Mary who said that Calais would be engraved on her heart when she died? I think when I'm opened up, Yorkshire will be engraved on my heart. But I feel this is my home. I'm embedded here. This is important to me to be given a Scottish award, because it makes me feel that I do belong here. Because sometimes I'm not the first person to say this on the stage tonight. Sometimes I do feel very English, and it's nice to be recognised as an honorary Scot. And there's nothing more Scottish than the Saltire Society, really. So I think this makes me very happy. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to, and well done to everyone who's on the shortlist tonight, who's celebrating Scottish literature. So thank you. I should take my award.
Congratulations, Kate. Thank you, Syrian, as well. Stay on the stage, though. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to ask you both to stay on the stage for a few moments, if you are willing. We know that many of Scotland's writers have been supported in their work and careers by those who have shown the way. You inspire us, you support us, and you help put Scotland on a map. So thank you from all of us. Syrian, for example, guest programmed at Bloody Scotland Crime Festival this year. So amazing, amazing. Now, we're going to ask Kate to announce the winner of our fiction category. And Syrian, you're going to hand over the next award as well. So I'm going to give you this just now. Kate, I hope you got your reading glasses on, but don't need to open it yet, because I'm going to give you the short list, which you can see up on the screen. So they are This Bright Life by Karen Campbell, published by Canongate. The judges found this a big-hearted, issue-driven book with beautiful lyrical writing on love and legacy. A Woman of Opinion by Sean Lusk, published by Doubleday. The judges found this an accomplished, authentic take on the 18th century with fascinating modern resonances. Hermit by Chris McQueer, published by Wildfire. The judges found this book brave and ambitious, truthful and tender. And finally, Muckle Flugga by Michael Pedersen, published by Faber. The judges knew they were in the hands of a poet, finding this novel deft, fresh, and intoxicating. Please, everybody, give them a big cheer. So, Kate, you have the golden envelope in your hands. Please tell us who has won tonight.
I hope this is quite big print, because I don't actually have my reading glasses with me. So, the winner of tonight's Fiction Award is Sean Lusk for A Woman of Opinion. Congratulations.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you. Is Kirsty your editor? Kirsty Duncy.
Don't have a conversation. I need to speak.
No longer.
No longer. Oh, right. I don't want to say. Well, I have to admit to being astonished. Thank you so much to the judges, to the Saltire Society, to everyone that is involved. I'm very conscious tonight that we've heard some English accents. We've heard some wonderful speeches from people kind of being a bit apologetic. I proudly live in Forres, up in Murray, on the Costa del Murray, where we have constant sunshine normally. But also, I've come here today from Yorkshire, so there's definitely a Yorkshire connection, and that's kind of my other beloved place. I don't know what Mary Wortley Montagu would say about being here tonight. Those of you that don't know about Mary, this is a kind of love letter to Mary Wortley Montagu, an incredible 18th century intellectual who I just became slightly obsessed with. And she had some interesting Scottish connections. So the incredible Bute collection at Mount Stewart on the Isle of Bute has some of her letters, and she is the sort of grande dame of that family, though she never actually went, as far as I know, to Mount Stewart, but they do have quite a lot of her things. My editor now is Kirsty Duncy at Doubleday, and hello over there to Penguin for being here. But during the process of writing the book, my editor was Charlotte Trumbull, and as happens with editors, as we writers will know, they move, and she's now at Harper Voyager. But Charlotte is from Brora, up in Sutherland. And every so often she sent me messages saying, Sean, does Mary have to be so horrible about the Jacobites? And I was thinking, well, yes, she was, but of course it was my invention of Mary. But I felt I had to be loyal, and as I went on, I realized all these amazing connections that Mary did have with Scotland. I live up near Inverness, Forres, and the manager of the Waterstones at Inverness is a lovely guy called Toby Wright, and he always says, Sean, make your next novel more Scottish. We want more Scottish content. But as I went on, I kept finding that Mary had all these brushes with the Jacobites and got really involved in the Rising, both the Rising of 15 and then the Rising of 45. So there was quite a lot of history, but of course what I wanted to do was tell this story. I'm genuinely astonished because I'm sitting at a table with some of the other shortlisted writers, and I've read 3 of the books so far, and I'm going to read the other 2. And so I'm in awe of what they have done as well. And I'll just close with one more little Scottish connection, because the Lusks originally came, maybe not originally, but at least in the 19th century, they were weavers in Lanark. And I found my great-great-grandfather's birth certificate, and upon it is a cross, because he couldn't read or write. So this is for you, Robert Lusk.
So much. Thank you very much. Give Syrian a big cheer along with Kate. Sean, don't you go anywhere. Sean, you come with me. Sean, that's your name. You stay here. You're going to help me with the debut winner of the Fiction Award. So you go over there with this. Take that with you. And I'm going to tell you the shortlist for Scotland's fiction debut of the year 2025. They're on the screen now. And as I mentioned, I'm going to share some of the judges' comments before Sean tells us who the winner is. The titles are Idle Grounds by Christelle Bamford, published by Hutchison Heinemann. The judges called this a clever, inventive debut packed with atmosphere. And Phantom Limb by Chris Kohler, published by Atlantic Books. The judges said this book was rich, brave, and energetic, packed with electricity, creativity, and a level of craziness. Sean, you have the golden envelope. Could you tell us the winner.
I've often dreamed of doing this, opening a golden envelope, but never imagined it would happen. And the winner of the debut fiction book of the year is Chris Kohler for Phantom Limb. It's Chris here. Wow, congratulations, Chris. I guess you get, do I hand you this?
I'm not much of a speaker, so I just wanted to thank some of my oldest friends. I wanted to thank Nikki Stewart, without whose help over the course of decades I wouldn't be able to write any of the short stories, let alone the novel. And I wanted to thank Callum Barnes for, without him the book couldn't have been published. And I'd like to dedicate the award to Catherine for believing that I was a writer when I said I was a writer. So, thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you, Sean, and Chris as well. Give him a big cheer. And a big cheer to all our winners so far tonight. Give them a big cheer. Now, you've heard a lot from me tonight. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm going to hand the stage over for a few moments of pause and reflection. Over the last while, we're all aware Scottish writing, publishing, literary programming has weathered some storms, and the same is true of our broader society. One of the Saltire Society's core purposes is to host and support responsible debate, and we think it is important to acknowledge our challenges even as we celebrate our successes. With that in mind, we invited Zoe Venditozzi, a writer, educator, and campaigner, to offer some food for thought. So please welcome Zoe to the stage. Please, Zoe.
Good evening. I wasn't terribly nervous till I realised that Kate Atkinson was here. Now my heart's flooding away. Well done. Okay, so for the last 5 years, alongside Claire Mitchell-Casey, I've been campaigning to raise awareness of the greatest human rights miscarriage in Scotland, the witch trials. Between 1563 and 1736, at least 4,000 people were accused of witchcraft. Of those, 2,500 were executed, and around 84% of those were women, because naturally, weak-willed women were the obvious target for the devil to bring about the downfall of Scotland's good and godly folk. A huge part of our work has been humanising the accused and, in fact, the accusers. These earlier Scots were not the ignorant, pitchfork-bearing brutes we like to imagine they were. The witch trials happened in an educated, civilised society ripe for the events that unfolded. In times of desperation, whether the driver is local and personal, such as a child dies or crops fail, or it's a much bigger national and political issue, such as plague, war, or religious uncertainty, humans seek to make sense and take control back. We ask, why is this happening? What can we do to stop it? And most chillingly, who can we blame? In 1597, King James VI published his book, Demonology. This was a literal how-to guide for identifying, trying, and dispatching witches. Demonology was a bestseller, which was read very widely and shaped Scotland's belief system for a long time. It's not an over-exaggeration to say the book drove the witch trials. Fear sells. The book shored up King James's power, and it helped him secure becoming the King of England as well as Scotland. The book, the King's written words, held great power. Over the course of the trials, there were several peaks where neighbours turned on neighbours, oftentimes accusing the most vulnerable in the community. Initially, there was physical torture, but when that went too far, the state and church turned to the much more civilised use of sleep deprivation. Confessions were extracted and evidence was gathered. The guilty were publicly executed and the bodies destroyed to prevent the witches from coming back to life as the devil's puppets. They were denied Christian burial and the normal human rights of death. This all happened hundreds of years ago, so what's the relevance now? Sadly, we humans have not outgrown the simple equation of uncertainty and fear plus attributed blame and retribution equals back to normal. We do it in smaller, more personal ways, as well as in much bigger apocalyptic manners, because so far we haven't learned that blame, barbarity, and dehumanizing the vulnerable brings nothing but generations of pain. We are living in frightening times where it would be easy to fall into hopeless despair. But we here in this room, at a critical point in our small but beautiful, peculiar country, should have hope. As Emily Dickinson wrote, hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. How do we keep hope alive and try and live more fully as humans? I believe that it's through the creation of art, and specifically here, through writing and reading. Because as we all know, and as many a fascist state knows, a great deal of power lies in words and books. But we're not only at a crisis point politically and morally, we're also at a crisis point intellectually. Because these days, there's a growing sense of, well, what is the point of books? We know that literacy levels are horrifyingly low, and maybe that's to be expected. I mean, really, in the age of social media, why bother? All humanity is online. We literally see it all. There are no boundaries, no filters, or at least not that kind of filter. I can scroll and see pretty much anyone, anywhere in the world. I can watch animals doing cute things. I can watch people being executed in all manner of ways. I can watch AI-generated monsters. I can watch people curate immaculate kitchens and style fast fashion. I can watch people monologue all about their lives and thoughts long into the early hours. Being immersed in social media is so convenient and satisfying and addictive. We can do it on the train, walking down the street, at work, whilst watching TV that we've waited months to see. We can watch it in bed instead of doing something boring like sleeping or reading. We can be entertained and horrified and moved and distracted within seconds, and we've managed to cleverly do away with all the tedious business of turning pages and decoding letters and words on the physical page. Let's spill back in time a bit. Learning to read is miraculous. Very few of us remember the before or the after, but much like that magic picture paper we had when we were wee, where we took the little paintbrush, dipped it in water, and ran it across the page, suddenly seeing the picture appear. Maybe that's kind of what learning to read is. For those of us fortunate enough to read with relatively few stumbling blocks, reading is something miraculous. We move from the state of being read to being able to read for ourselves. The world is then ours. I always knew I wanted to be a reader, but it took me quite a long time to actually start writing. I wasn't one of those children who'll tell you, like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, that they wrote their first novel at 6. However, I was one of those children that read and read and read. I was one of those children who sought refuge in imaginary worlds, and someone whose teachers quickly realized that when reading, I wasn't disrupting the class. So I was often sent to the class library to give everyone else peace. But of course, reading isn't just a place to hide and be quiet. It's a place where you learn about what it is to be a human, how it is to be a human even. It's a place where you can see there are other people like you and other ways of living too. The process of discovery through reading another's words is vitally important. As Margaret Atwood wrote, a word after a word after a word is power. When we read, we're building our view of the world and who we are in it. I've been a secondary English teacher for 25 years and have largely worked with challenging classes in schools and areas of deprivation, mostly boys. I've never taught a class that didn't enjoy being read to. Something magical happens when you read to a class. The energy settles, the wildness calms, and the reading then opens up the important talk. Who am I? Who are we? What is life? The privilege of choosing what to read to kids that have had a hard time and are maybe struggling to cope is something that I've never taken for granted. To see a kid see themselves in a book or to start to understand something about shared experience and connection is serious stuff. And this is a key part of why we write. We need to present and interpret the world. We're gathering what it is to be a human. I think for most of us, we write because we must. Most of us have a compelling desire to connect with readers, to explore in detail what it is to be alive in all the beautiful myriad ways of being we have available to us. We've come so far, but the journey ahead is treacherous and difficult, especially now. Especially when there are very powerful men who would see us small and angry and frightened and distracted. Powerful men who prefer us isolated, speaking to strangers in the wee hours online rather than real people in the real world. People we might build a connection with if we actually got to know them. If we're picking on the poor, the disenfranchised, the powerless, then we're not looking for the real issues. Appalling greed and wealth, climate disaster, war, horrendous abuses of human rights, needless death, death, death. All whilst current laws are being tampered with, and we watch seemingly helpless as the guardrails of democracy are being very deliberately dismantled. But we have the power to change and challenge that. If we think and debate on the page, if we engage in deep thinking about being humans, we can be so much better. If we start thinking more about common ground rather than quick, satisfying binaries, better suited to tweets or below-the-line commenting. Make no mistake, we're at a very important crossroads where we must think and act consciously about where we go next. We need to move away from the online discourse back towards intelligent debate on the page where there's room for different ideas and beliefs and where we can think deeply about who we are as humans. We need to stop wasting energy on getting people telt on the internet and find ways to listen, then inspire and provoke thought to make a better future. We need to learn from the past to shape a better present. I felt quite scared and stuck recently by the tide of horror that seems to be constantly barreling towards us. But as ever, I'm turning to Toni Morrison for guidance. She wrote, "I get angry about things, then go on and work." We need that anger to avoid complacency and isolation, but we need to channel it into work, into writing, to illuminate ourselves and to see the path forward. We need to still be open to joy and wonder, to feel awe and then express it so that we can gather others to us and wrestle back the direction that we're going in. Not by singling out the vulnerable, but by gathering everyone in. Writing and then reading has that power. We have that power. We must use it wisely and use it now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Insightful, interesting, very engaging. I really appreciate that. And you're going to stay with us now for, can you believe it is the final category of the evening. So this is the non-fiction book of the year 2025. The shortlist is on the screen now. And again, I'm going to read a few comments from the judges. So here they are. The Ayrshire Nestling by Jerry Cambridge, published by Red Squirrel Press. The judges found this a remarkable book about passion and escape. Outland by Jenny Fagan, published by Cornerstone. The judges found this a courageous, dignified book grounded in traumatic life experience. Fagan's talent and spirit triumph. Nature's Genius by David Farrier, published by Canongate. The judges found this a vital book that needs to be read at this point in time. We learned much about the world and were deeply moved. And finally, My Good Bright Wolf by Sarah Moss, published by Picador. The judges said this book offers a thoroughly satisfying reading experience and new ways of looking at life. We know we will revisit it again and again. So you've got a golden envelope there. So you've got the winner. But please give all the shortlisted a round of applause.
I'm absolutely delighted to say that the winner for the non-fiction this year in 2025 is Sarah Moss with My Good Bright Wolf.
Thank you to everybody, to the Saltire Society. Writers, of course, thank their publishing team, and I want to do that. But I want to do it particularly because it's not a book of confession, and it's certainly not a book of therapy, but it's a book written for very high stakes, for me and for my readers. And I wouldn't have published it if I hadn't had a team I trusted absolutely and loved very much. So I want to thank my agent, Anna Webber, my editor, Sophie Jonathan, and especially my publicist, Camilla Elworthy, because they minded me and they were kind and they prioritized human decency over making money. We made some money as well, but, you know, human decency is the main thing. I'm aware that I'm one in a sequence of people to stand up here in an English accent and give thanks to the Saltire Society. I qualify on two grounds. One is quite simple. I was born in Glasgow, and I've gone back to the Trossachs all my life to see friends and family. The other is not official. 100 years ago, my great-grandparents fleeing pogroms in Russia and what's now Latvia came to Glasgow, and they found a place of safety. They were asylum seekers, and they found asylum. And they stayed here, and they raised their kids, and they raised their kids, and they raised their kids, and however far I've got, eventually somebody raised me. So this is what happens when you accept asylum seekers, when you give homes to people who need them, and let people become Scottish and come home here. Thank you.
Thank you again. Sarah, I'm going to ask you to hang out with me for a wee while. And don't worry about all the English accents. I remember when I moved to the mainland of Scotland for university, nobody had a clue where I was from. My nickname at university was the Swedish chef from the Muppets. So all accents are good accents. To say the least. Now, we are coming to the end, but we've got one last award. I'm going to give you this while I read out the Scotland's non-fiction debut of the year. The nominees are on the screen. There are two of them. The titles are Russia Starts Here by Howard Amos, published by Bloomsbury Continuum. The judges said this book was transparent and beautifully written and spoke of our hearts. And Foreign Fruit by Katie Go, published by Canongate. The judges said this book was ambitious and wide-ranging, and the writing is luscious and elegant. Sarah, will you tell us the winner?
The winner is Katie Go for Foreign Fruit.
Hello, this is very unexpected. Thank you so much to the Saltire Society and the judges. I still find it very difficult to describe what this book's actually about, so it's really, truly wonderful to see it sort of be recognized. And yeah, I would really like to thank Canongate for publishing. My debut book, a weird sort of hybrid memoir about belonging and identity, and for taking a chance on me. I'd especially like to thank Helena and Lucy and Claire and everyone at Canongate, and also my editor in the States, Maisie, who worked on the book as well. And I also like to thank Creative Scotland and the Society of Authors for supporting my writing and for at very early stages when it was still in development. And finally, I'd just like to thank my partner, John, and my loved ones for supporting me. My family are watching the live stream in Ireland and Malaysia, so I don't know where the camera is, but I'll wave to them. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Give him a big cheer. Congratulations to you both. Well, Acharshan, we've reached the end of the awards this evening. Firstly, on the screen behind me, you'll see our debut winners. Please join me in congratulating them all again tonight. And the winners of our Books of the Year. Please put your hands together. Now, I will ask Maddie Kidd, director of the Saltire Society and an amazing author as well, to join me on stage for a word of thanks. But first, I just wanted to say a big thank you to Maddie for her extraordinary creative energy and drive, and of course, her indisputable style. And wow, sparkle that have made tonight such a joy. So give her the biggest cheer of the night. Maddie Kidd.
Thank you, Eugenio, and thank you, everybody. I hope you've had a good night. Thank you to Zoe for that really thought-provoking piece. And I'm a big fan of a beautiful poem called May You Always by Alexander McCall Smith. And it talks about events that are points of light in the darkness. And I hope tonight has been a point of light in the darkness, including, of course, the literal darkness outside. And that brings me on to my first thanks of the evening, which is to all of you for coming out on a pretty chilly night. And in Book Week Scotland, no less. So thank you so much. I have quite a number of thank yous, and I'm going to begin with the people who make the whole thing possible, and there are a lot of them. First I'd like to thank everyone at the Saltire Society, Emma Hargrave, our Book Awards Officer, Patrick Small, our Development Officer, Nikki Axford, our Finance Manager, and of course all of the members and the Council and the Executive Board who are so deeply committed not just to the Saltire Society but to Scotland and its culture. Ciara Brown, who many of you will know, produced the event for us tonight and has worked her socks off. Thank you very much, Ciara, as have the team at Central Hall. And we've got quite a team of volunteers with us also, and they're all here, frankly, because they're big fans, and they were just really desperate to get to serve Kate Atkinson and Srian Rankin a gin and tonic, and they'll be talking about that for some time to come. Our beautiful awards this year were made by artist Lena Mortensen, and we're very grateful to Lena for making an exception and taking on a commission which she doesn't normally do. Kate compared hers, I think, to a weapon and Sean to a lightsaber. We think they're a sort of scepter, and we hope they give a sort of regal taste to proceedings. I'd like to ask you to join me in thanking the judges whose names are on screen right now, and they took such care in what was an incredibly difficult task of selecting the long lists, the short lists, and tonight's winners. Many of them are here now, and I hope you get a chance to speak to them later. Let's give them a massive individual round of applause. We could not have delivered the awards and the extended programme of support they offer for writers without the support of our major funder Creative Scotland, our book sales partner Waterstones, and our sponsors and supporters Hush Designs, Lind and Lime Gin, and Edinburgh UNESCO City of Literature and the Universities of Edinburgh, Stirling, Glasgow and St Andrews, whose staff very generously served on our judging panels. So could you give them all a big round of applause? Our presenters and speakers tonight, I hope you will agree, have made for a brilliant evening, and we thank them all for their time and their talent. And an extra special thank you to Cynach. We've spoken about accents, but if you don't mind, I'll shift language to say Míle taing Cynach ha sin nad glory cyflwyr ash conlading is on bliaven eile. 1,000 thank yous to Cynach. We know you rarely set foot in Scotland these days. You rarely touch down, and we're really, really grateful that you've made the time to come and guide us so kindly tonight. Can I have a huge round of applause for Cynach and Cloud? Another big thank you to all of the publishers who support the process, and on their behalf, I'll remind you that Waterstones are outside with all the titles on the shortlists and of course all of the winners, and we hope you'll take a book home tonight, or many books, and hopefully perhaps signed by the writer. You might of course like to try something by Kate Atkinson or Sir Ian Rankin, any of our winners or shortlistees, and there's indeed some cookbooks available, and I think, Ghani, I'm safe in saying they could be signed.
They will definitely be signed, and hugs are half price tonight as well. So, all that is left before I hand back to Cynach for the last words of the evening is to say that we hope you'll join us in the room opposite. Please take your glass, and we hope you'll be able to stay to raise a glass with us, to browse the books, and have a word of congratulations with all of our winners and shortlistees. So I'll now hand you back to Cynach for the last word of the evening. Thank you, Mary. It feels extra special for a Lewis man and a US lady to be up on stage here. That's really, really special. And it's been my absolute great pleasure to guide you through tonight's proceedings. I will be out there as well having a dram with you. So, Míle taing, Eucheva, thank you and good night. And see you for the 90th celebrations next year. Can you believe it, in 2026? Thank you and congratulations to everybody. Cheers.